Good afternoon and good morning to those of you out west. Welcome to today's webinar from Clientbook. My name is Farheen. I'm the Associate Editor for Pool and Spa Marketing, and I'll be moderating today's webinar. Just to cover a few housekeeping items before we get started, if you have any questions during today's webinar, please enter them in the Q&A section, which you can find at the bottom of your Zoom window. We will address as many questions as possible at the end of the presentation. Zoom does have a raise hand function, but since we'll be keeping everyone's mics muted, only use the Q&A instead. If you're experiencing any technical difficulties during the webinar, you can enter a message in the chat, which you'll find right next to the Q&A, and we'll do our best to help. Today's webinar is also being recorded and will be available on Pool and Spa Marketing's website later as well. Now, I'd like to introduce our speaker, Ryan Blumenthal. As Clientbook's Chief Revenue Officer and third-generation owner of Corrine Jewelers in Toms River, New Jersey, Ryan understands the needs of retail jewelers. Ryan started his career as an account executive for Intelladon, located in Tampa, Florida. However, his passion for retail eventually led him back to Corrine Jewelers, where he has maintained a leadership role for more than 18 years, providing guidance to his staff on how to succeed in retail. Today, he helps retailers nationwide create processes around clienteling and the Clientbook desktop and mobile app. With his expertise, retailers can carefully take advantage of Clientbook's power and capabilities in driving traffic and sales in today's retail landscape. In today's presentation, Ryan will discuss off-season success, transforming slow months into business boosters. While the rest of the retail world is busy in holiday crowds during the fourth quarter, the pool and spa industry is entering its slowest months. Getting customers interested in a pool or hot tub when it's 30 degrees is no doubt a challenge, but Clientbook, a mobile client management solution, can help you make the most of the off-season. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us today. Please take it away.
All right. Thank you, Farheen. Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning to our folks on the West Coast. Excited to be here today. Passionate about business and how technology can help us. We'll get into my background in a little bit, but thank you for carving out some time today as we go into our holiday season. Before we get into business, just a brief introduction about Clientbook if you haven't heard about us before. But Clientbook is a modern CRM that helps businesses prospect into their repeat customers. And we really have these foundational components of what our mission is to build those long-term relationships with clients and retain them, maximize every sales opportunity that we're presented with, enable sales associates for success, and really scale the personalized level of service that we're known for in our communities. And these are things that I've been passionate about in my career, and how I came about joining Clientbook very early on and helping them shape their perspective of how we reach out to businesses. Currently have over 1,000 retailers, lots of different markets. All of them share the same passion for kind of repeat business and taking care of their customers. And we have over 11,000 users currently in Clientbook. To go into my background a little bit more is I'm a generational retail store owner myself. My family was in the jewelry business and continues to be this day. In fact, this is my jewelry store in Toms River, New Jersey, and so we're about 12 days out from total chaos here at the store as we go into our really busy selling season. But it wasn't always that way, especially in jewelry. There was this time when businesses are small. In jewelry, they were very focused, or as an industry, are very focused on holiday season selling. And you looked at your business pretty much that, God, you really needed to make your numbers during the holiday season. Otherwise, you were in danger. And you needed to do that through Christmas and Valentine's Day and Mother's Day and kind of these hallmark holidays, right? And so much of your business was driven through there. And the whole industry looked at that, as a risk in that, there's only so much business that you could drive through those months. And if we really wanted to grow businesses, we were going to have to work on being excellent 12 months out of the year. And so I took that on as our mission at Korean Jewelers, and now each year kind of Christmas becomes, it's not that it's not important, but it's a lesser part of our business than it ever was from a percentage perspective, because we work so hard on driving business throughout the year. And that's what I want to talk to you all today about how technology can help you do that. And obviously, generational jewelry store owner, not a pool and spa business owner. But I've always benefited over the years of learning about other industries, and because I think what you learn from one industry can help you, shape your own. So I hope some lessons that I could teach you today on how our clients are using this might inspire you all on how you might use Clientbook. So first up in what we'll cover today is really just identifying the opportunity of leveraging your current client database. Go over the problem that tends to be in businesses, which is how to manage all that. The solution being software, right? That's why I'm here today, is that we believe that technology can make your life a bit easier than it is. And kind of a pre-technology and post, what is manual about this process? What does digital client management look like? And overall, we'll get to how a product like Clientbook could help. And always the best part of presentations is at the end Q&A. So we're running about 30 minutes for the presentation, and then Fareen will hop back on and we'll answer any questions that you might have. Good time to point out there is a button on the bottom of the presentation in the Zoom that if you have a question, just fill it there, and we'll get to it at the end here. But first up here, let's highlight the opportunity. And to really highlight the opportunity, we should talk about leveraging your current client database and overcoming the unknowns with solid client management. And so what are the unknowns? And this is, as business owners, we spend a lot of time thinking about these things. And I would say that they're probably not the most productive use of our time, which is, are sales going to be as good as last year? Is inflation going to hurt my business? Can I afford to increase my marketing spend in order to get more customers? And will I be able to grow my client base during this off season or retain them? And some of these are good for us to think about, but you really want to let a lot part of your brain power and bandwidth focus on the notes. One, you likely have a loyal client base at your disposal. Two, your current customers are already familiar with you. Three, effective client management requires way less spending than going out and acquiring a lot of new customers. And which leads us to retaining customers is easier than acquiring the new ones. And these are ones that really want to focus on today and just continue to belay the point of why this is so valuable. So here's three main things that I think should really paint the picture for you as a business owner. I know it does for me, on why it's so valuable to leave some of your focus here. One, it's less spend. So if you've built out a customer database, it's about 5 times more expensive to acquire a new customer than to do more business with your existing ones. So as you start to look at your marketing budgets and can I afford this? If you haven't maxed out your current customer database, maybe you don't need to spend all that money to go acquire a bunch new. Convert higher. Once you earn the trust of your customers, and once you've sold one service or one product, the likelihood that you could convince them to buy another is about 2 times that of what it was originally. You've already built that trust. You've had success. Now it's on you to make sure that you keep this top of mind and reach out to them for other purchases or other services. And then lastly, they tend to spend more. So your current customers that are happy with you, that you're driving business through, they tend to opt into more services or pick up more product or spend more on the items that they're purchasing you one way or the other. And I know in my business in retail, these are about three of the biggest things that you could possibly focus on. Okay, what did I spend to get a customer? How am I going to convert them? What's their conversion rate? And what's their average spend? I mean, that's what in the jewelry industry, we spend a ton of time thinking about those things. So makes sense, right? If you're on this call and you're, thinking through these things, yeah, I know this, and I like to highlight it so that it's this level of importance. But really, the issue is, well, what's the problem? Why is this a pain point of ours to manage our customers and to drive business during these slower months? Well, keeping hundreds of clients engaged over the winter months, it's hard to handle all on your own. Okay, you have a lot of customers. It's time consuming, depending how you have it set up right now, and it's manual. Okay, so depending, again, if you have a technology in place that's going to highlight your available opportunities to you or not, you're just doing this all manually, and which is what we see in a lot of our customers out there. And then it's unfamiliar. So much of our life, and we'll get into this in a moment, is we're faced like right in front of us, customers coming through the door, or we're going there, and we have them kind of from an inbound perspective. Okay, so they're coming to us one way or the other. Our job is to talk about our services and convert them. Now, when we start going to drive business through slower months and out to our customer database, it could get a little uncomfortable and unfamiliar because we're not necessarily wired to do that. So, but we all want it. And that becomes this disconnect between business owners that really want this versus teams that have kind of accepted the fact that these are the slow months. There's nothing really we could do. Let's just kind of maintain the business. And so there's this disconnect between what a business owner wants and what some people on the team have just been conditioned to accept. So there's more than one solution to this, but I want to highlight a few things that I think will really help drive the success here. And obviously, it's client management software. For us at Clientbook, that's what we spend all of our time thinking about. But it's a real saver of time. The moment you could get your entire client database, be able to sort it, filter it, uncover the opportunities, it just really starts making this easy. The next one is there has to be levels of automation today that you're taking advantage of, that you're not going to miss an opportunity to uncover a sale or a service is sold. And there's only so many hours in the day. So if you don't have these things set up and automated for yourself, there's a limit to how much you'll get done. Thirdly, driving sales. It could really be the opportunity for you to uncover the sales that are available, or the opportunity automate certain amounts of it so that you're not leaving anybody off the table. And then the key result is driving business. So why this solution works best for business owners, just a handful of comments that we've gathered from across different industries, is Tiffany, that this makes her more profitable. And what she means by that is less resources needed to be applied. So that top line revenue now just floats all the way to the bottom. And that's the key to being hyper productive through technology, is that it's a lot less expensive than most things that are out there. Will Dolan comments, Clientbook made it possible for us to move out of pen and paper and into automation, right? So that's what so many of us are doing in our businesses. It's pen and pad, it's Excel spreadsheets, it's a lot of different things that take up a whole bunch of our time. And then lastly, an increase of sales in 13% after the first week of rolling out Clientbook. And that's largely because the moment that you set your eyes on a focus, like if you talk about something, it tends to improve, I've always found. And if you have software that has a meaningful purpose, it will improve in that area. So it's sometimes we get overcomplicated a lot, but it really can be effective very quickly. Let's talk about for a moment of what this might look like now versus what it could look like. So what it look like now in most stores or service businesses that we approach or come to us when we ask them what does this currently look like in your business? They walk us through kind of a maze of spreadsheets, sticky notes, notebooks, point of sale systems, their phones, and they're trying to do the things that are aspirational to drive the business, but it's like a maze getting through all these things. And it doesn't need to be that way with technology today. You could transfer this to a product like Clientbook or clienteling software that it centralizes all that information. It organizes it. It makes it searchable. It's integrated with your other tools. And ultimately, that just makes for a very easy process. That should be the goal. And I found this in my own business for sure, in that, in retail, we're trying to learn a lot about customers and what they like, their preferences, who to reach out to. And we were just in manual black clienteling books that that we did our best at. For the ones that we got to, it was highly effective. But there's just only so many hours in the day. And once you digitize this and add automation to it, all of a sudden, you're not going to lose any opportunities. You're going to make everything happen. So we're passionate about that. At Clientbook, we think a lot of that resides in the power of a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool. And I want to highlight kind of for the remainder of this period, just some technology that comes with and what its purpose is in business today and driving that and how it could help your businesses. But in order to solve for this, we kind of, for our purposes at Clientbook, when we take a look at that kind of maze of different ways this is happening in businesses today, kind of the old way of clienteling or managing client databases, and what we want to solve for, we found that it really takes about 4 different things that we need to do for a business in order to get those great quotes, like I showed you. And the first one being, we have to centralize information. We have to centralize at least client information. We can't have some in a spreadsheet, some in a point of sale system. For our purposes of nurturing this client database, we need to have it all in one place. Next one being, we need to make technology easy to use and adopt for business. So my experience in retail technology or services technology is they can be very cumbersome. It could be a lot to navigate through. And so these meaningful interactions with your client, with your clients, they tend not to take place because it's just so hard to use the tools. So we really believe in ease of use. Third, automation, difficult and time-consuming tasks so you can scale. When we ask someone, why aren't they utilizing their customer database and driving business, promotional offers, getting them to sign up for services early, a lot of it resides in time-consuming and difficult. They don't really have the time for that. They just have time for this inbound motion that they've designed, but the outbound motion just seems very time-consuming and difficult to them. Next one being providing insights and measuring the effectiveness. Big believer that we can't manage what we can't measure. So in order to provide great technology, we really need to be able to measure the effectiveness of it. Okay, so first bucket of features that I want to talk about here with you is meaningful interactions through client management. How are we going to have meaningful interactions? And we use a handful of different features here that I'll walk through that you might utilize in your business in order to do this. One, a client profile. So a client profile is, what do you need to know who this client is? What's their address? What have they spent with you? What are the services they've opted into? Who are they? What do they do for a living? These are all things that should reside in a very easy to access client profile so that if you were to get an inbound message or if you were to want to reach out, how do I get up to speed with who Ryan is really quickly? And that you just need a very simple, easy client profile with powerful information in it, like transaction history. Wish list is a component that a lot of retailers care about. What this might be is what is a collection of services that you might offer to them that they're not being opted into now, and how do you service that to them? Tags is something that you might hear more and more in software these days, and it's a way to segment customers. In this use case, I imagine it's going to be what services are they currently utilizing, and what does that entail? And what's available to them that they're not being taken care of. And we all segment our customers. The moment we have a database, you kind of think of how do you segment to know who to talk to, and tags is a way that you could do that very easily. Messaging. Depending how you're doing it now, I mean, there's certainly emails are still a powerful thing to do in business. And I'm not saying that you should move away from email completely, but if you're not having a controlled experience for SMS that drives personalized interactions with your clients, I think it's a real opportunity because emails, simply enough, I mean, they just sit in an inbox. Everybody's inbox here that's on this call is probably loaded with junk mail, and things tend to get missed, but text messages do not get mixed. They get opened about 99% of the time, and it just feels very personalized. There's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, and that you need to make sure that you're personalizing these messages and that they're thoughtful messages and not just junk. But you could do that through a tool like this, where we take into effect their customer profiles and use that personalization. It could be preloaded with templates that you find acceptable as a company, that you want to empower your staff to use these templates to engage with your customers. And then we know that a certain amount of experience starts on our website, which is why we provide a way to capture that information and take this into the customer profile so that they could start off on our website, but quickly get to the proper person to talk to at the company and start having a back and forth. Automation is one that I'm passionate about as a business owner myself, because there was just only so many hours in the day, and great technology is great, but if it's not helping me accomplish the things I want to at scale, it doesn't matter how pretty it looks or the cool features. We really need to do the things that are impactful in our businesses at scale. And for us, this could be a great time for us to get the reviews that we need to go into our next busy season with tons of positive reviews over this last year. How do you collect these reviews today? How do you automate that so they could go to every single customer and make sure that they're followed up with, make sure your Google page is just full of 5-star reviews, so that when people start thinking about you again, they're reviewing companies to go with. You just have a full list of all your customers raving about you. Ultimately, where this resides, the biggest power is what's the reminder on their accounts to do the right things at the right time. So what do you need to execute in your off season with them for an ideal experience to maximize the relationship? Is it an early contract, more services to sell? Who's doing that? Who are we reminding to do that? And that's often the confusion is, well, where do I start in my customer database? That should really all be automated for you, so that you could be set up for success, or each day you could go, who do I need to follow up with? Teams is something that we use to drive accountability and make this a part of culture in your business, that if it's slow, what are we doing to get busy? What are we doing to drive business? And we think that should be measured. across businesses. So, and a lot of our stores feel that way. And we try to make it everything above board so that you can have these daily actions that people can then look at what that activity was that day. You could set goals around it and really just drive the performance of the team. Lastly, having analytics is such a powerful thing to for businesses to have. Like I said in the beginning, it's really hard to manage something if you can't measure it. So these interactions that you're having with your clients, what does it look like? How does it get reported on? If you have 10 different businesses, servicing various communities, where is it good? What needs to be worked on? What does that interaction look like? A lot of us don't have tools to report on that. So we have an aspiration of what our teams do, but we don't really have any quantifiable reports that we could lean on to see how it's going. And those really are the fundamental things that Clientbook drives through our business partners. When we take a look at what they could do in these slower months, engage with your customers. You have things that they want to buy. They trust you. They've purchased things from you before. How can you maximize that relationship and identify those opportunities? Really hard to do that if you're doing it manually. So I'll conclude there and have Farine hop back on, and we'll see if there's some questions from the group we have on here that we could talk about.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ryan, for this very informative presentation. We do have some time for questions now, so just open the Q&A located at the bottom of your Zoom window and post your questions. We already do have a few coming in, so let's get started with these. How does your software integrate with RB Controls? Is the POS system we use in our store?
So we currently don't have an integration set up with that one as of yet. We are an integrations company, so we have integrations with dozens of points of sale across the industries that we service. When we don't have an integration, what tends to happen is we have kind of a drag and drop uploader that you could simply upload services you offer, client database, everything that you might need until we have an active integration set up. It really depends on the point of sale that we're doing that integration with. Some have what's called an API that we could immediately connect with, and it's fairly easy. Others, there's more manual work on both sides that needs to get done in order for that integration to take place.
Thank you so much. Can you automate rebuys on things automatically through text without making it after it's set up the first time?
Sure, can you say that one more? You broke up a little bit for me in the first part.
Sorry. Can you automate rebuys on things automatically through text without making it after it's set up the first time?
Yes. That's part of what we have, what's called sales triggers in Clientbook, which is kind of, if this happens, then do this. And that's what a lot of our automations are driven by that. So if you have reoccurring that you need to maximize and make sure that you're doing, that's what it's built to do.
Thank you. We have an audience member who's wondering if you work with Evosus. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. EVOSUS.
Is that a point of sale system?
It is. It's a cloud ERP software. Yes, LOU by Evosus.
Yeah, just looking them up now. We do not work with that ERP. We work with many ERP systems. I'm not seeing an integration there.
Thank you so much. Next question. I've been having a hard time getting in touch with clients during our slow seasons. Can Clientbook help me re-engage them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that is definitely the kind of the hallmark of our brand, is these personalized communication. And if you're trying to do it through email now and you're not utilizing SMS, I would probably start there. And if SMS is failing, then it's like, we just need to take a look at what the offer is, what the messaging is. And that's something that we help people with every day.
Thank you. How quickly can a CRM like Clientbook be implemented and yield visible results?
I would say that most of our clients are up and being trained on the product within 2 weeks. And that we will, during that 2 weeks, do a little bit of discovery with the business owner of what are the meaningful engagements that they're not taking advantage of now that they want to with their customers. And by doing that, we start off pretty small. And what are the kind of first tier goals that the business has? But after 2 weeks, we're up and running and using the system.
Thank you. What's the learning curve like for teams unfamiliar with CRM tools?
I'm sorry, what was that for me?
No problem. What is the learning curve like for teams unfamiliar with CRM tools?
Oh, introducing technology is always something that you want to govern and make sure that you're taking it slowly and not throwing out a million things for your team to do at first. Um, Again, we work with over 1,300 businesses, 11,000 users. We have a pretty good way of getting them into the system without intimidating them too much. And it really just starts with showing them, feature by feature where it's going to help them out. So, I and and the design of Clientbook is that of more of a consumer app than a hard to use technology tool. What I mean by that is most consumer apps is the moment you download them, you kind of know how to use them because they're very intuitive. Whereas software systems that maybe CRM is just one part of what they do, it's filled with so much stuff that it could be a little intimidating. And we're conscious of that at Clientbook.
Thank you. We have another audience member who's wondering about another POS system. Have you integrated with Lightspeed?
Yes, we do have an integration with Lightspeed.
Thank you. And another question. Sorry, lost the window. I love the idea of Clientbook, but I don't know if I'll be able to get my team to use it. Is there any advice on getting your team on board when they're pretty set in their ways?
Yeah, I think it always starts with us as business owners. Now, we have to clearly explain the why of what we're doing for the business in order to give it to put it in the best position to succeed, not just now, but in the years to come. So I definitely believe in, and we could certainly help with that and showing success stories and what have other businesses done. But it really needs to start with right at the top of why we're putting this software in to begin with. And that just sets the stage for us to have successful trainings because they have context from you, the business owner, of, why is this necessary? So I think it really all starts there.
Thank you so much. That was all the questions we had. Ryan, is there anything you'd like to add?
Just that it was a pleasure speaking with you today. I hope we gave some insights from other industries that you might find useful. And please reach out to us at clientbook.com if you'd like a more personalized demonstration. It's just clientbook.com/demo. And that will set up a time for you where we'll do a little discovery on your businesses, go through what you're currently using in your point of sale or ERP, and really try to walk you down the path of how you might use Clientbook. So if you're inclined to do that, it doesn't cost anything. We're happy to do it. And I hope to hear from some of you soon.
Thank you so much. And thank you, Ryan. And thank you to everyone who joined us today. That was all the time we had for questions. If you need to reach out with any additional question, Ryan's contact information should be available. Just a reminder before everyone leaves, if you would like to rewatch today's webinar or share it with a colleague, we'll be emailing the link to the recording to everyone who registered for the presentation. So keep an eye out on your inbox. Finally, after you shut down Zoom, you'll be taken to a survey to provide feedback on your experience today. Please take a moment to complete the survey as it helps us to continue to serve your needs in the future. On behalf of Pool and Spa Marketing and Clientbook, thank you again for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Happy holidays.